Well, hello, my old house fans. Today is the first day of summer, June the 20th, 2024, and I'm shooting two videos today. One was the bathrooms upstairs, and this video is going to be in the downstairs. I'm in the dining room area now, and I'm prepping for paint in this room. And you may recall from some previous videos where I had done the drywall in the house with the exception of a couple of windows. This window in the dining room I still had to complete, so I had to fasten it permanently, do the insulation and the drywall, and I did that. I had to do this one. I had to do around the front door, which is over yonder, just beyond the opening, and I also had to do the window in the powder room. So all of those windows have been completely, or openings have been finished with the drywall joint compound primed, and as I say, I'm hoping to get some paint down today or tomorrow here in the dining room. I've got my blue tape for the edge around the ceiling. I've got the covers off of the HVAC so that I can paint around it without getting the cover all messed up, and so hopefully by Friday I'll have this dining room all painted, with the exception of this outlet here, which I have to work on because it's a little crooked. So in the meantime, I've done some work in the kitchen. So I'm not sure what you saw the last time I posted anything about the kitchen. I had some of the cabinetry in. I think I had the floor tile down. I also have the floor tile is complete in the powder room here. The shower you've seen before, that's still functioning. Toilet, I did get some baseboard in. The shower, I've even got a little, some artwork on the wall. And a door. I think you may have seen that, but in any event, this is an original door. I've got to work on it a little bit, needs some work. And this was the window opening that was incomplete. And again, like on the other side of the dining room, I fastened the window permanently to the structure, completed the insulation, and then completed the drywall, and that's all finished. I do have to prime this and paint this wall. The other walls here in the powder room are painted, but I need to paint this wall and finish the baseboard at the bottom. So, but all in all, it still works as a powder room, and it's got a door. So even though the door is not complete, if somebody wants to come over and needs to avail themselves or herself of the powder room, they can do so and have a modicum of privacy because the door does work. So in the kitchen, I may have explained that I went with the butcher block countertop around the perimeter cabinetry. That's because the perimeter cabinetry was not going to have any wet appliances in those areas. So here you can see I've got two base cabinets, the butcher block countertop, two upper cabinets, and they are on either side of the refrigerator. Again, I didn't want the refrigerator next to the door because when you come in off the hall, your eye would be obstructed by the refrigerator in right here. And so I thought it would be a more expansive view for the eye to not have the refrigerator right next to the door opening, but move it over a little bit. So I have to put glass in the uppers, and eventually I may, when that refrigerator fails, if it fails, I'll probably try to get a taller refrigerator and one that's a couple or 3 inches wider than this one. I deliberately made the opening for the fridge larger because, as I say, in the future I may get a larger refrigerator. But this one works. It's again, it's simple, and the fewer moving parts, the fewer electronic components, the more reliable your appliance is going to be. Nothing worse than having a modern appliance that cost you $1,500 only a year later to have the electronic circuitry blow up, and oh, guess what? Now it's going to be a $600 repair. So within 2 years, now your $1,500 refrigerator is $2,300, which is ridiculous. There's probably somewhere in this country an original GE monitor top refrigerator functioning after 90 years. Things were built to last. There's a new book out, if you are so inclined. It's called What Went Wrong with Capitalism? I haven't purchased it yet, but I saw an interview with the author, and I've been thinking about this for quite some time. Long gone are the days of traditional capitalism. What we have now is a mongrelized system that benefits very few people. Although, overall, capitalism has been the only system that has risen people's standard of living as high as it has. Like Winston Churchill said about democracy, it's the worst form of government except all the rest. Capitalism is the worst socioeconomic system except for all the others. So while it ain't perfect, and this author points out some of the flaws, just like Adam Smith pointed out some of the flaws more than 200 years ago, it's up to us to make sure that things work properly. But too many people get distracted. I'm going to ignore my phone. In any event, I can't help but talking about economics and politics because it affects me as well as it affects you. And it affects how it affects my restoration of this house, especially as far as the budget is concerned. In any event, there's the range. This range was left by the previous owner. It's about 10 years old, and it still had the original protective plastic wrapping on it. It is all electric. It's a Kenmore, no, I'm sorry, it's a Frigidaire Gallery, which is, I guess, their high end. And it works perfectly. I have not used the oven, so I can't say that it works perfectly as far as its entire use, but the range top, timer, clock, all that stuff seems to work okay. I have fired up the oven, so I know that it works. All I had to do was replace that drawer down there at the bottom. It was dented, but I cleaned it up, and as I say, it's plugged in, and it works fine. So that's also in a space that I've made a little bit wider in the event that I want to replace this range with maybe a propane gas burner, like a Viking or a Wolf. So typical Viking or Wolf stoves are going to be run off of natural gas, but you can change the jets and regulator in those, and then you can get them to run just fine with propane. I can put a propane tank out back, plumb it in through the wall in the basement, and that'd be just fine here. I would have also to probably install a vent, which I could, I've left the space there for such, and go out through the top of the cabinet out to the exterior wall and vent the stove if necessary. So again, I've got some uppers over here. I have to put the glass in, and I've got my microwave set up there. And again, the butcher block, which all the butcher block I did myself. And if I had done where the butcher block is with stone, the countertops would be in the $4,000 to $5,000 range, including the island. And that was too much money, and I didn't see the value in it. Although stone is lovely, there are things that you need to be aware of. And even Corian, which is ostensibly the less expensive alternative, that was in the $4,000 range as well. So I did the butcher block for $600. So I have about 8 feet of counter over there. I've got about 8 feet of counter over here with the return of about a foot. I've got 18 inches on the left and 21 inches on the right. So whatever that works out to mathematically, I did all of that for $600 and myself. So these slabs are heavy. They're 1.5 inches thick, and whereas Corian is 1/2 inch thick, and the stone is 1 inch plus thick in some instances. So as I say, I've got the blue base cabinets, I've got the antique white uppers, and I went with the stainless steel handles. So in the future, should I replace the appliances, which are now white, I may consider doing a stainless steel appliance just to pick up on the hardware on the cabinetry. So all of the butcher block cabinets are coated with several coats of Minwax polyacrylic, which is a clear drying plastic coating. So I didn't want epoxy, even though you can get epoxy in a matte finish. That would have been a lot more work than just brushing on the polyacrylic. Each of these sections has about 5 coats, sanded between coats. And again, I'm not doing any wet work on the butcher block. I also never cut on the countertop, whether it's the butcher block or the stone, and I never set anything hot on the countertops unless I have a trivet. And I have a small trivet, and I'll probably get a couple more. All I did was use one of the I think these are 9 by 9. No, I'm sorry, these are 8 by 8 floor tiles, and just put a couple of 4 rubber feet at the corners on the underside, and that's my trivet. I'll probably make a couple more of these, and I'll probably make a larger trivet out of 4 of those tiles, and framed in a wood frame. So again, you be kind to your kitchen countertops, and they'll be good for a very, very long time. And the one thing about the butcher block is, should it get dinged accidentally or something, this can all be sanded down. It's wood. It's real wood. So it can be sanded down and then recoated with the polyacrylic, which never yellows. That's the things. Things like tung oil or other oil-based finished products, they will yellow the wood. And I didn't want that to happen because I like the natural color of the butcher block. Here at the end of the cabinets, I've got to put skins on and paint them blue. And here on the pantry, I've got the skin just cut and sort of tacked in with a couple of nails, but that needs to, as I say, be painted blue as well. You can perhaps at the bottom, you can see that I've got the toe kicks, which are in the same blue as the base cabinets. Excuse me. So that works well. But again, I just need to do the blue here at the ends in a couple of places. So that brings me to the island, which I had to make. And I wanted a bunch of things in the island. I wanted the island to be the wet surface. So the kitchen sink is in the island, and I have space for a dishwasher. This dishwasher was also left by the previous owner. It's about 10 years old, but it's still fairly simple. I haven't tested this yet, and so I'm not in a hurry to hook this up, but I'll get to that eventually. I've got a sink base with the sink, obviously, and the sink is offset so that I would have about a foot of counter space to the right of the sink, and then the gap for the dishwasher, and then the end, and then here on this side I have a knee space that I have to frame out and skin, finish it up. But there's room for 2 stools for 2 skinny people, or 1 stool for 1 not so skinny person. And again, I've got to put the skin here. On this end, this is actually one of the cabinets for the kitchen that came in slightly damaged. So the cabinet manufacturer sent a replacement at no charge, and I'm not sure yet here if I'm going to order up some drawers or if I'm going to do shelving. So I got to think about that, but not a high priority right now. The island, the skins here on the ends and the base sink base, these will be painted blue when I get to that point. Again, I've got the stainless hardware on the sink base cabinet, and then I'll do some trim pieces to pick up on the shaker style on the other base cabinets. So. The stone here on the island I was able to get for a reasonable price because it turned out to be that it's a remnant. I've just turned on the lights and you can see them reflecting. And I'm going to turn them off again because I think maybe you can see better what's going on with the cabinet. Alright, so let me get the paper towel out of the way. And what I have here is a quartz product. So this is not a natural pattern. This is a man-made pattern. So the quartz is, there's a lot of quartz in this because this slab weighs about 250 to 300 pounds. So this was more than I could do myself. And so I had a marble and granite kitchen countertop place do it for me. So I went to them and they were very nice because the owner suggested that I consider a remnant. And she took me out to her lab yard, and we found this piece, which was more than wide enough and just about as long as I needed. It actually turned out that the piece wasn't perfectly square, so when they squared it up, I lost about 1 inch in the length. This is the long dimension here, and across is the short dimension, which is about 48. The long dimension is a little over 60. So I'm roughly 4 by 5 and 20 square feet. So what I actually had to do when I had first put the island together, I had a little bit more of a gap for the dishwasher, and what I did the other day was I actually took it apart. This is before the stone arrived, but took the island partially apart and shrunk it by about ½ an inch, because I wanted to be sure that I had at least enough overhang on the length in order for me to put on the skins and put on a little bit of the trim. And again, that trim is just going to consist of some rails and stiles that mimic the doors and the drawers on the base cabinetry. And it'll all be painted blue. So I think what I have here is a pattern. I forget who the manufacturer is, but the pattern is called Cambria. And because I don't have the light on right now, but I think at this angle you can sort of see that there is a light color that picks up on the antique white and on the wall color and the trim color. And then there's a bluish gray veining color that runs throughout the slab. And that picks up on the blue of the base cabinet. So I think I got lucky in that the color tones here in this piece of quartz really fit well with the color scheme of the kitchen. And as I say, this cabinet, or excuse me, this island countertop, I had a quote for Corian in just the plain uniform color Corian of $2,500. And there was another place that was similar, that included templating and installation. Of course, this templating is not difficult because this is a free floating island. There are no restrictions, no corners, no miters, none of that. Well, that's the other thing with Corian, is it's maximum 30 inches wide, so it has to be seamed. Even though the Corian seams pretty much disappear, you still have a seam in a Corian, and Corian's ½ inch thick, so you have to build up the edge. So here on this slab, this is all one piece. There are no seams, and you don't have to build up the edge. This is just about 1 inch and an eighth to a quarter thick. So it sets in fine. The owner of the company came and measured. The sink slipped right in. It's a nice fit, and everything's hooked up. Garbage disposal, and hot and cold running water, and a drain, and again, no leaks, which is important if you have a sink. And again, I like the tones in the top. And again, this is my wet space. But I think for the size of this kitchen, that this island works out fairly well. I've got well over 3 feet of space here, probably closer to 4. I've got perhaps just a little under 3 feet here, but it's not, it's not a lengthy distance. You know, as I say, at 3 feet, and now we're in where the door is, so there's plenty of room here. If I do put drawers in this end, there's plenty of room to open the drawers. Here we've got almost 4 feet wide, plenty of room for a person to get by if in fact I do put a stool here and someone is sitting there. And likewise again on this side, this is about 3 feet, and again the overlap is not that much, so you have plenty of room here at the hallway entrance. So what I have accomplished here is the kitchen triangle is but steps, a few steps. So I can go from the stove, you can go right over to the sink, and the fridge is right there. So everything, if I total all the footage that you would have to travel between the fridge, the sink, and the stove, it's probably at the maximum dimension between the sink and the fridge, about 7 feet, and maybe less if you swing the door open all the way and unload whatever you need to unload onto the countertop. And so it's an efficient workspace as far as your main kitchen appliances are. I've got the microwave there. That microwave, boy, I bought that microwave in 1997, I think. So that microwave is 27 years old. And the only thing that doesn't work on it is the light bulb inside blew out. But I've never had any trouble with it. It's a Panasonic, so it was a quality product, and it's still working. That's the way it should be. But again, I don't want to get into a rant again. So on this part of the kitchen, you see that I've got a tall pantry cabinet. I haven't decided how I'm going to load up the kitchen, but I've got everything from, silverware to a meat slicer, a couple of big pots and pans, frying pans, cookie sheets. So that's why I have a cookie sheet cabinet here next to the range, and I've got the corner cabinet with the Lazy Susan. Another corner cabinet up there. As I say, I'm not sure how I'm going to set up the kitchen as far as where the food is, where the silverware and knives, etc. are stored, and where the glasses are stored, and where the plates are stored. But I'll figure that out when the time comes, because I still don't have a certificate of occupancy. I'm still working on that. I've got a few more things to do. I needed to get some more trim in, and as you can see, I've got trim here in the kitchen. I've got baseboard installed. I do have to sink the nails and putty them up and then touch up the paint, but I wanted to get the baseboard in because, and I also wanted to use a baseboard that didn't need me to trim for the base cabinetry. So that's why that baseboard is the size it is. It's proportional to the casing, and I went with the wider colonial style casing there, whereas the casing here at this door and at the two windows is reclaimed. It's out of a 1940s house, so it's good and solid, good and dried. So I don't expect anything. This is newer, the casing here. This is new casing. It's not the exact same profile as the reclaimed casing, but it's the width, which is what I was looking for, and it's a similar profile. It's what they call like a 3.5-inch colonial trim. So obviously I've got to patch the nail holes and the miters and touch up the paint. And I'll eventually get a door here for the basement stairs. So, but I don't think I'm going to do a door anytime soon on the opening from the hallway to the kitchen, nor on the opening from the kitchen into the dining room. So that's pretty much the kitchen. I'm going to redo this piece of trim here because I did it rounded, but I don't like it, so I'll probably take that off and do another piece that's square. That follows the lines of the switch plate. So that's it for the kitchen. I think it came out fairly well. Again, everything functions, no leaks, and again, it's just a matter of you don't leave a cold drink on the counter with the condensation here in the summertime. Put it on a trivet, put it on a coaster, and wipe your counters. And keep it clean, maintain. That's how things last. Take care of them. This house is, I found out that this house was actually built in 1903, not 1890. In fact, next month I'm doing a presentation for the Historical Society of Preston on my research that I found. So I found when the house was originally built. I don't know who the builder was, but I do know who had it built. And that should be an interesting story. But it's an old house, and the guts of the house, well, I saw them when everything was demolished, and they were in pretty good shape. All this drywall has been here in the house for about 6-7 months, and I don't have any cracks. So I guess that's hopefully a testament to the fact that the house may have settled, but it isn't settling anymore. So that's good. Anyway. I hope you have enjoyed this tour of the kitchen, and in the future maybe I'll do some sort of video in the kitchen where I'm cooking lasagna or something. I anticipate getting fully moved in and then settling down to a normal routine. But in the meantime, there's still lots to go. I got to paint the rest of the downstairs, trim out the rest of the downstairs. Next year probably do the restoration of the windows, because later this year I've got to start to work on the outside of the house, which still involves the removal of the shingles, the stripping of the clapboards, and priming and painting thereof. So lots of work to do. Got to sand the floors too. So I'm going to be painting these walls first, and then I've got somebody who's giving me a better price on flooring. I'll be helping them. They'll be helping me. I will see if in fact that's what I want to do, or maybe do the entire thing myself. Not sure yet. But once the paint is done, then I can get rid of this cardboard in here and get the chandelier installed in the dining room. I've got the dining room table, and again start to live what is more normal style of everyday life. So, that's it, and I will see you in the next video.